Your own money coach. I've got a question here that came in via email the other day from Amy. Amy said, I'm in high school right now and I'd like to go to college, but my parents have said that they really can't help me out here, but I really want to go to school. So what should I be doing to help me go to school? Well, Amy, that's a great question. And obviously it would be a whole lot easier if you get some help from your folks, but you're going to have to do it on your own. All right, great. So let's think about what we can do to start. One, get good grades in high school. Right, and the reason that I say get good grades in high school is that you may be able to place out of some schools. And in my son, for instance, my daughter as well, one of the things that they did is that when they were in high school, they were able to take courses that enabled them to get college credit for some of those basic courses. So that when they actually started class, some of those courses transferred and they were able to place out. So my son actually started almost as a sophomore, when he first kind of went to school, because he had been able to place out of classes that he took in high school where they were cheap. So he was getting high school credit and he was getting college credit. That can help you out tremendously in the amount of time that you actually have to spend at school. Something else that you need to kind of think about is think about where you're going to school. Now, there's some things that you want to think about. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to go to, the highest ranking university or something of this nature. Certainly, I want you to get a good quality education. But you might consider spending your first year, particularly that first year, at maybe a community college. And the reason that you can do that is because it's so much cheaper. You may be able to stay at home and get some of those classes that way. And then you can transfer those to a major university of your choice if that's what you would prefer to do. But that way, what you can do is you can, again, do that for a much less expensive type situation. So it might also enable you to work. Now, when I went to school years ago, I know, okay, boomer, but when I went to school, I was able to work part-time, and then I was able to get through the work during the summer, and that would get me enough money to where I could get through the school year. And that's really just not possible anymore. The math just doesn't work out. But what that does enable you to do is it would certainly defray some of those costs. So one of the things you might think about, if possible, work while you're in school. And that would help you defray some of those costs. All right, think about going to a community college, and then while you're at that school, think about, geez, what are you going to do there as a part-time job? And if you do that, what's going to happen is you can get through school a whole lot cheaper and not have to incur those years and years and years of that college debt. They cripple so many people nowadays. Stay away from that as much as possible. You might even consider taking a year off and working and saving that money, right, so that you can go to school. Think long-term instead of thinking just the short-term type situation. Now, some other things that I want you to think about when you're going to school. Why are you going to school? And you're not going to school, in my opinion, you're not going to school to better yourself. You're not going to school to give yourself a well-rounded person, right? You're going to school so that what you can do is you can learn what you need to know so you can begin the vocation of your choice. Now, that vocation needs to be able to pay you in the lifestyle in which you want to live. In other words, if you end up going to school and you study a particular subject that's going to get you or allow you to earn $20,000 a year, you're going to be spent your entire life with that kind of an income. If you go to school and you study a subject that's going to pay you $80,000 or $90,000 a year, you're going to be in a much better situation. So my daughter, for instance, she got out, she got a degree in nursing, bachelor's degree of nursing. She went in and was immediately making, certainly not six figures, but she was making, in the high five figures. Right, as a nurse, she was making $50,000+ a year. So, certainly it's a much better situation. Whereas if you go into something else, social work, for instance, it's going to end up paying you $20,000, $25,000 a year. So you need to think about why you're going to school, what the vocation is, what the job is going to be for any degree that you get. Okay, now there's a whole discussion about whether you need to go to school in order to get a good degree. The idea is that if you end up going to college, you'll probably end up making about 60% more than people that don't go to school. So yes, there's some advantage to doing that, but don't go deep into debt. don't go deep into debt to go to college. And you're going to college so that you can get a vocation when you're done. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the degree you're getting is going to take you in the direction that's going to allow you to pursue the job that you actually want done. Just some thoughts. I'm Mike O'Neill. If you have some questions that you'd like me to answer on the air, send me a note at mike@mkoneal.com. That's mike@mkoneal.com. Get on my website. You want to find out a little bit more about me, what I can do for you. Let me know how I can serve you. Thanks. Send me a note.